the dimensions of Satan. We can't see it. Because the Quran it enlightens us that Satan can be in back of us, side, ahead, wherever. But we can't see the full or the holistic scheme of Satan. We don't have that ability to that degree. We can be duped. We can be tricked. Because Satan comes in various disguises. It's like Mardi Gras. Satan comes in many disguises under the pretense of pleasure. Again, we have to keep in mind that our reason for being on this earth is to seek pleasure and to avoid pain. So Satan pretends and comes under the descriptions or the disguises of pleasure. So he's coming through our emotions of promising a good feeling. I mean, these are things that we need to just write down until we know it by heart, but we also have to keep reminding ourselves of, as Marvin Gaye say, what's going on. Because anytime we forget, that could be a tragedy. Forgetfulness, it can cause a tragedy. So we have to refer back to a very potent and powerful African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. So we have to really understand the enemies can be within. We just can't assume that enemies are always outward. They can be inward. Within ourselves. We can trick ourselves. That's how Satan works. It's, again, working through our emotions, a deception, making us think. As you say, as a man, or talking about woman too, as they believe, so is he. We're aware of that as well as a person thinks. So mentally we can dupe ourselves. That's important to know. That we can trick ourselves through a perception. Now here we go, another directive. If we can be hoodwinked, bamboozled, and tricked through a wrong perception. That again is where Satan can hide. It's what we perceive. Billions of people don't even know that. Don't even pay attention. And we have to be consciously aware of what's going on. Because if we are not, the consequences for that unawareness can be devastating. We can't gamble with life. We have to know. Just like you can't gamble going through, when you driving a car, you can't gamble. You can't guess when to go. You have to know when to go. You have to be fully sober and aware of what you're doing when you're driving an automobile. Because if you're not, you are prone to having an accident. The accident can be minor or it can be fatal. That's just how important it is to be sober and consciously aware. Is that the same applications apply to driving as it does to us living. We can make a fatal mistake by being unaware. So in other words, we have responsibilities. That's another character of what we're supposed to do. We have to be responsible. Whereas the culture, you know how devastating it is to say that Jesus died for us? And many people have eaten that diet. I mean, billions of people have eaten that diet. And that's devastating. That's critical. When people have eaten forbidden tree again, that Jesus paid for our sins. That's critical. Because that's a wrong belief. Because that excuses people. That's devastating. When people have taken in that diet of thinking or believing or perceiving that I'm okay because Jesus has taken me off the hook. And I can just erroneously continue on with that falseness or falsehood, walking around with that. That's critical. But look at how many people have eaten that forbidden tree or that forbidden fruit. Billions of people don't have that awareness. They are falling within the disguise of emotionalism, of almost, the danger of telling people what they want to hear. That's dangerous. When people are living under a perception of living under a mentality, a mindset of being told what they want to hear. That's an entrapment. Entrapment. That's a confinement. A mental trap is to walk around with that belief of thinking that I'm okay, Jesus has paid for for me. That's devastating. So people incarcerate themselves. That's a mental incarceration, a spiritual incarceration, or emotional incarceration. And I'm learning as I'm speaking. You know. So I'm listening to myself, but this is a law. You know? Speaking to me as well. So it's not that I'm totally aware of all of this. I'm learning as I'm talking. You know? And I'm recording so I can hear it again. Because I'm not fully developed at all. I used to hear the Imam say that he follows Imam. He's Wallace, but he follows the Imam. W.D. Muhammad. So where he was saying he's teaching himself by following the Imam W.D. Muhammad, but he described himself as Wallace. We have to understand, again, how Satan camouflages himself within us. And he falls under us making excuses. Me justifying. Me trying to find an alibi to not fully stand up to truth. Sometimes truth is too much. In that sense that we don't want, we try to find a reason not to eat a fully healthy diet. Because there's a weakness within me that wants to hold on to something that's unhealthy.